So today I woke up and checked my phone for my usual NFL news, and I found out that the first major trade of the offseason, besides the whole Carson Wentz Matthew Stafford drama, and I found out that Julio Jones was traded to the Tennessee Titans. And the trade details about that is Titans receive Julio Jones and a future 6th round pick, and the Falcons will be receiving a 2022 second rounder and a 2023 fourth rounder. Now, at first glance, this seems like a real boneheaded mistake on Atlanta's part, mainly because the draft had already passed and they used their 4th overall pick to draft Kyle Pitts. Instead of planning for the future and taking a franchise quarterback, they decided to draft an offensive weapon. Now, when this happened, you're probably thinking Julio Jones, Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, Matt Ryan. It seems like a great offensive juggernaut. But now that this is all over, they traded him to Tennessee. It leaves a head scratcher because if they're in a rebuild mode, why didn't they draft a quarterback? Why didn't they draft Justin Fields or Mac Jones, who was available at that time? Instead, they got an offensive weapon. And no disrespect to Kyle Pitts, I think he's an amazing player, but you're just thinking, what was Atlanta's motivation in doing so? Now, so for a little context on Julio Jones, he missed a handful of games last year with injury. Still racked up. If I'm not mistaken, he had 51 receptions for 771 yards and 3 touchdowns, which isn't too bad despite his injury. Now, Julio Jones has always been one of the greatest receivers during this decade. Multiple first-team All-Pros, Pro Bowls, but he is entering his age 32 season. My question is, how much of an impact will he have on Tennessee's offense? Because if you know Tennessee, they already have A.J. Brown, who's coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and a guy named Derrick Henry. I'm not sure if you guys know him, but he kind of ran for 2,000 yards, so that's a scary offense. Now you throw in Julio Jones, and this offense just got a whole new level of insanity. Like, could you imagine trying to guard this team? Let's say you want to put your 2 best corners on Julio and A.J. Brown. Now you got Derrick Henry to, gash your defense. But then you want to run a 4-3 defense and you want to load up the box. Now you got those 2 to worry about. So it's like you can't win. It's like pick your poison. Either one is going to gash you. Not to mention that Ryan Tannehill has been one of the more elite quarterbacks over the past 2 years. I think he has one of the best passer ratings over the last 2 years. It's probably the big reason why Tennessee went on that big run in 2019. Now you're probably saying, how come they were one and done this year? Well, if you looked at that defense, Jesus, that defense was bad. I think they were in the bottom third in total defense, but they addressed it in the draft. I think they got key pieces to their defense, and they shouldn't be as bad. Now, are they going to be a great defense? No, not at all. But they're going to be middle of the pack. If you take a look at Kansas City, 2018, one of the worst defenses. I think they were 31st in total defense. And then the offseason, they brought in key pieces to adjust the secondary. They brought in Tyrann Mathieu. And now you saw they won the Super Bowl in 2019. Same thing applies for Tennessee. They were one and done. Baltimore ran all over Tennessee's defense. And now in the draft, they used their draft picks to get some key pieces on their defense. I think they got Caleb Farley, cornerback, Virginia Tech. That's going to bolster their secondary. So now that we got that out of the way, Atlanta, when you look at who won the trade, it's hard to decide here because you see that Tennessee's in a win-now mentality. They want to win the Super Bowl. This year, they're doing all they can. Atlanta, they got some key draft picks to build for the future. So they're in a rebuild mode now. So now that leaves me, what does Julio Jones do to this team? I think if he stays healthy, I think Julio Jones is going to make a massive impact on that Tennessee offense. I think he's going to have at least 800 to maybe even borderline 1,000 yards. Should get 5 or more touchdowns, especially in the red zone. And then you have A.J. Brown, who's going to stretch the field. And then you throw in Derrick Henry, and Jesus Christ, he's going to gash your whole D-line. You can't stop that offense. I think that's going to be one of the most exciting offenses to watch this year. And now the final question here is, does Julio Jones make the Titans a Super Bowl contender? Even without him, I think they're already a Super Bowl contender. But then you throw in that extra safety blanket for Ryan Tannehill. I think that makes that offense unstoppable. And they're going to demonstrate that during the year. The Tennessee Titans are a Super Bowl contender. And tell me otherwise why they aren't. This is RMLG. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next upload. Peace.